Oh, this is really not how I like to spend my day, but it had to be done. I'm probably going to be doing a bit of swearing. I'm sorry. Well, today is the day to get some repair work done that I need to do, that I've been putting off here. So I've got my tools and my parts out. I've got a lot of spare parts and a few tools, so I've got them all out. I think I'm ready to start the repair. I guess that means I need to put my coffee down. I just made a fresh cup of coffee to sip on in case I need to do some thinking. This is my thinking coffee cup. But let me put this down and I'll show you the repair that I need to do. So we're here at the back of my van and we're looking at my water tank under my sink, and this is the offending area. Years ago I had a different tank and it leaked, and it caused a little bit of damage here because I had some plywood bracing that gave a little bit of support to the sink that you see up above here. Now what I did in the past to fix that was I replaced that old leaky tank with this square 7-gallon Reliance tank. A lot of people use these. You can get these everywhere. I bought this at Walmart years ago, and it solved the leak problem, but I never really did take care of the wood getting wet problem. You might be able to see here that I chopped away part of this leg that used to be here, so that's why there's this jagged cut here. This needs a little more attention, and the other leg on the other side of this container also has some water damage that needs some attention as well. So repair-wise, I just need to cut a little bit more of this old plywood that got wet and water damaged, get rid of that, and also replace the other leg on this side. You can barely see that on this side, just to give a little bit of support back to the sink. The sink is a wall-mounted sink, and it is mounted fairly well to the wall, but it does need just a little bit of extra support if I happen to lean on this, if I am using the back door here to get in and out. I do tend to kind of lean on this as a little helper handle, and so for that reason I just need to get some bracing on here. I'm not only going to do the repair, but I'm also going to do a little bit of an upgrade by replacing the jug that I have with a new Reliance jug that is still a 7-gallon jug, but they have a new shape here, and I think that this jug will give me a little bit more space for my galley style setup here in the van. At least I'm hoping. So because this is a different size and shape, I'm going to have to do a little bit of arranging to fit this in here, but I think it'll be worth it. And, you know, I might as well do some upgrading while I'm doing some repairs. It's just a good time to do it. Now, I have not had any more water damage since I've replaced this jug, but I don't want to put wood legs back on here just in case. So what I've done is I've gone to Ace, the home center, and I bought some angle iron, and this is a fairly thin gauge of angle iron, so it wasn't terribly expensive, and because it's perforated, it'll be easy for me to use. I am going to need to cut this down, but I bought a big enough piece so that I can use this not only for one or maybe two legs, depending on how the new arrangement goes, but I might be able to use some of it as bracing as well. So before I can get to cutting this to size and figuring out what size I need, I'm going to need to kind of dismantle my area here, get my jug out, tear out the old wood, the old punky plywood here. So that's going to be the hardest part, just ripping out all the stuff that I don't need, and then hopefully this will go back together quickly. The thing is, though, normally I do this in a Home Depot parking lot, but there is no Home Depot anywhere near me. So I'm doing this just in a park, and hopefully I won't have any issues. Hopefully I've got enough tools and supplies and everything I need to put this all back together again. It's always a little bit tricky when you're working on your van, especially when you're doing something that is not a normal thing. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm reasonably confident. I say that. Maybe I should just drink another little bit of coffee though first and think about this. Where's my coffee? You know, this is one of those areas that I neglect to clean as much as I should, so I'm going to add cleaning to my list as well. I've got plenty of vinegar and paper towels. I'll just give everything a wipe down as I go. It's another reason why I really should do repairs more often, but this is not my favorite thing to do. Well, I don't have a whole lot of tools, but I do have a few that are really highly useful, like this screwdriver. This is it's either a 9-in-1 or 11-in-1, I forget. I guess I could take it apart and count them, but as you can see, these bits come out, and each bit has 2 sides to it. So this whole thing kind of is transformable into whatever you need it to be. And not only do you have all these bits, but this bit holder is actually a driver as well. So that would unloosen a hex bolt nut or screw. And there's several sizes of them as you take the bits out. So really highly useful. I think this was an electrician's tool, and I found it in the electrical tool aisle in Home Depot years ago, made by a company called Lennox. They're known for making really good tools. Okay, I've got everything dismantled, and I've got the hoses kind of put aside. This is the pickup tube that would supply the water from the water tank to the pump and ultimately up to the faucet up on top here at the sink. And you can see how bad the water damage got. So I'm going to cut this part out, and then back here on this leg you can see it kind of fell apart. So I'm just going to cut this off and make a new leg with the angle iron that I bought earlier. Well, this might be a good time to explain this shutoff valve and this T-junction that I have on my water pump. I get asked a lot about this. This is just a simple T off of the pressurized side of the water pump. So as soon as I turn the water pump on, the water pump goes through this and over to the sink up above. But I can flip this shutoff and actually send water down this length of hose to a sprayer. And see, that's just a sprayer for a kitchen sink, but this works as a shower outside the van here. Sometimes I use this inside the van if I'm washing my hair and I just want a little pressure. It's a little bit messy because it's got quite a bit of pressure to it, but I use this mostly for just cleaning things off. I can actually spray this from back here. I can spray my solar panels off and be able to clean them off a little bit easier, or I can use this to clean off my feet if I've been hiking in a muddy area. So this is something I don't use a whole lot, but I definitely want to keep because I use this enough that it's useful, and it's really highly useful just the few times a year that I actually do use it. It is going to need to be relocated, so I did disconnect it here. So this is adding to my list of little things I'll have to figure out once I get to putting this back together. But right now I got to start cutting the old water damaged wood out, and the cutting is the reason that I have put this project off for a while. It's not going to be too easy to get in here to cut out the bad wood. I do have a power saw here, but because it's so tight, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the saw in to maneuver, so I don't think this is going to be an option. I do have a little hand hacksaw, and this takes Sawzall blades. It's kind of a neat little hand tool here because it folds down and the blade locks into the handle, so you don't have to worry about it cutting something up. And it locks in pretty good, and it's made for any kind of Sawzall blade. Unfortunately, I don't have a wood cutting blade on me. This is a reason why I would normally do this kind of work at a Home Depot. I could just run into Home Depot, buy another blade. So we'll see if this is going to work, but probably not going to record this part because I'm probably going to be doing a bit of swearing. I'm sorry. Hey, good news. One was down. I was able to use the power saw a little bit for part of it, so I've made a fairly decent cut there. Only problem with the power saw is it made a mess. Oh yeah, and I didn't even make a swear. Hey, coffee. Okay, now to tackle the second and final one. Might be able to get this power saw in here. More good news. Okay, that actually went much easier than I was anticipating, so we're good. I'm just fitting the new container in, seeing where I want to get that set, and it's all looking pretty good other than the big mess of sawdust. So I got a little extra cleaning to do now. Okay, I've got a little bit of cleaning done, and now it's time to cut the metal leg brace here. So I've got it marked, and I don't have a whole lot of tools, but I do have some pretty useful ones. I do have an angle grinder that I can use to cut this metal. It'll make it really easy. I do have that new little hand saw with the hacksaw blade on it, but that's not going to work so well because I used the wrong blade for cutting the wood. So definitely going to go with the easy one here. Just going to use my large battery pack, which is big enough to power this, and should be nice, quick, and like butter, as they say. Yeah, you know, to be honest, every time I do one of these little projects, it always ends up being a lot more difficult than I expected it to be. It just always takes longer than I would really hope. I was kind of expecting to be done by now, and I think I'm almost out of coffee. I've got a couple sips left, and the question really now is, do I stop and make a cup of coffee, and will that speed me up, or will I work faster if I need to get this completed and then make a cup of coffee, hold that out as a reward? I think I better hold it out as a reward and try to get through this. I keep a big pile of parts on hand, but you know, I had to scrounge around to find the right size bolt to bolt this leg to the wood. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to drill a hole into the plywood and put a bolt in through it. I'd like 2 bolts, but I'm not sure I have 2 bolts. I'm still looking for more. But that way the bolt will hold it in place, so that hopefully it'll hold it nice and tight and doesn't move around too much. I set my coffee down. What am I doing? Okay, just a slight change in plans. I moved the leg into the inside spot here because I realized if it was on the outside, it would give more support, but it would also mean I'd have a hard time getting this container out without taking the leg off. So I didn't like the idea of that. So I just moved it in there where it's out of the way. Now I can get to the container if I need to pull it out to fill it or clean it, which they need to be cleaned quite often, so I think this way works better. Okay, I'm getting to the home stretch here. I'm almost done. I just need to get the pickup tube set up into the new tank. This is the same pickup tube that I used in my old tank. I had drilled a hole in the top of the tank and dropped this down in. I'm not going to drill a hole this time. I'm going to do what everybody else does and utilize the spigot setup that Reliance gives us, and this is just about the right size to just put this through, so that'll make things a little bit easier for me. Now this pickup tube is made out of a piece of PEX tubing, and PEX is cross-link polyethylene. It's very similar plastic to the plastic that Reliant uses to make their water jugs with, and it's generally regarded as the safest food-safe plastic on the market. That's one of the reasons why I chose it. The other reason why I chose it was because it's a straight piece of pipe, which means I can drop it down into the tank and I don't have to worry about it curling up and me not being able to use all of the water in the tank. That was an issue I had early on. When I first built the van out, I had a piece of PVC tubing, which is not food-safe plastic, by the way, but it was the same tubing that I have on my drain hose here, off the drain, off the sink. That kept curling up, and I was only being able to use half of the water in my jug. So I found this as a much better solution. This is also a very inexpensive solution. This is cheap as chips at Home Depot or Lowe's. I can get it most anywhere. I think I had to buy a 4-foot section of it, and it was less than $3. So really inexpensive solution. How I have it hooked up here to my supply line, to my water supply line that runs to the pump, to the pickup side of the pump, is I bought what's called a shark bite connector, and that's a connector that just pushes onto the end of the PEX tubing and gives you a good watertight seal, and then it just has some threads that I can thread onto the water supply line on the other side. So really easy way to get this set up. Well, I am slowing to a crawl here. I'm getting tired of this, but I'm almost done. I'm getting things put away, and I've made some improvements with how everything is fitted in place here, so let me show you that. So the big improvement is the new jug gives me quite a bit more space down my galley, so I've got a little more space for my feet to sit here when I'm sitting at my sink, either doing dishes or getting ready in the morning. So that's a fantastic little bit there. That was definitely worth the extra work to put the new tank in. One of the issues I had with the old tank was it would slide out into the galley when I would drive. So to rectify that, I've added this little clip back here that's screwed into the wall, and then I have the strap to hold the tank in, and this has got it nice and tight in place, so not going to be moving around anymore, I don't think. And it does seem to be pretty strong. There's a little bit of creaking there if I kind of lean on this, but it is pretty strong and tight in here, so I'm pretty happy with how this is set up. I also was able to make a little hanger spot for my bottle of vinegar that I use to wash my dishes with and clean up with. So a few little improvements, and I think this is well worth the effort. Yeah, I think I've got this working. I had to spend a few minutes to reprime the pump. That took quite a little while. Looks like we're back up and running, which is good because I want to wash my hands. This is really nice having the space back here. Before, I really wasn't able to kind of sit directly in front of my sink, partly because I just rebuilt my bed not too long ago, and it tightened things up a little bit here. And I really like having a more comfortable bed, but I did kind of miss being able to sit comfortably in front of the sink. Something I like to do every morning. I come over here, get ready, brush my teeth, take a little bath at my sink, and I wash my hands 200-300 times a day, so it's a little nicer to have this area back. Makes my little galley setup here work the way I want it to work. So here's my reward. I get a cup of coffee now, and it's a fantastically brewed cup of coffee. I am very happy to have this to sip on. I'm going to start some food in a moment too. I did have one little thing I wanted to say, which is I am always a little bit reluctant to record these little upgrades that I do and put them up. I usually get a bunch of backlash from people about, why did I do it this way? Why didn't I do it that way? And their way is so much better, and that's why I'm reluctant to do these. Of course, I'm always happy when I do follow through and just do this and put it up. I think that sometimes it's helpful to see how somebody else tackles a little issue or a little problem. That's the things I like to watch on YouTube. My brain seems to work a little bit differently than everybody else's, probably not correctly either. So it takes me a little while to work out how I want to take care of and tackle a problem that needs to be resolved here. So I did spend quite a bit of time figuring out the way I wanted to do this. And this was not really the correct way to do it. This is just the way that I did it because it works out the best for me. And I think that that's important for all of us that are living in a van and doing repairs for ourselves. We really need to do things the way that are best for us and not get so caught up on what everybody else is doing and making sure that we're doing it the right way. I don't think there is a right way. But whatever way you do decide to do these things, I think it's the right way. If it works for you, it's the right way. And that's why I go ahead and put some of these videos up occasionally and to show how I've tackled a problem like this. Yeah, but if you want to read down in the comments, you'll probably get a lot of other opinions about all the things that I did wrong. I encourage you to read through those, and you can talk and interact with some of those people that say that I'm doing things all wrong and that their way is the better way. I'm probably not going to interact with those comments personally, but they're always there. Anyway, I need to get some dinner going. This has been a long day for me. I actually did not start this as soon as I should have. I got up this morning, took my time, and started this much later than I really should have. So it's kind of late, and I'm hungry, and I'm grumpy again. Whenever I get tired and hungry, I get really grumpy. So you could probably tell me being kind of accusational at the moment. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.